Before the skyscrapers of New York, before the bustling ports of Boston, even before Columbus set foot on the shores of the New World, there was a city massive, organized, and mysterious. His name was Cahokia. But here's the strange thing. Most people have never heard of it. At its peak, around 1100 AD, Cahokia was the largest city in North America, north of Mexico. It spanned over 6 square miles and boasted a population of over 20,000 people, more than London at the time. It defies everything we were taught, that indigenous peoples lived in scattered, small bands before European contact. But Cahokia was a metropolis, and its mere existence rewrites the map of ancient American civilization. To this day, it remains the largest prehistoric earthen construction in the Americas, and yet, no one knows exactly who built it. No one knows what language they spoke. No one knows why they vanished. The city was a labyrinth of plazas, ceremonial sites, wooden temples, defensive palisades, and hundreds of earthen mounds carefully shaped and placed. It's the feeling many report when standing among the ruins, and almost indescribable weight, like eyes watching from beneath the soil. Locals whisper that the land remembers, that the city is not dead. It's sleeping. By the year 1350, the city was abandoned. Environmental collapse, civil unrest, or something stranger, a turning away from the sun gods they once worshipped, a curse invoked by rituals too dark to name. Some visitors claim they've heard distant drums at dusk, echoing across the empty fields. Others say they've seen shadowy figures at the edge of the woods where no one should be. The fields grew wild. The mounds fell silent. No war was recorded. No plague was found. No signs of a massive fire or foreign invasion. Just ... stillness. It was a sacred clock, perhaps even a cosmic calendar. And with it came a disturbing implication. Cahokia's leaders were watching the skies for signs. Of what? Of whom? The most imposing of these is Monk's Mound, a staggering 100 feet tall and larger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza. At least not in the way we imagine pre-Columbian America. Its people engineered a sophisticated society without the wheel, without metal tools, and without a written language. They created a complex culture based on astronomy, agriculture, and ritual. At the center of the city were massive plazas for gatherings and ceremonies, surrounded by neighborhoods, organized into clear social and spiritual hierarchies. One structure, known today as wood, was a circle of enormous wooden posts used to track the movements of the sun, marking solstices and equinoxes with eerie precision. Despite its grandeur, Cahokia began to unravel quickly. Archaeologists have tried for decades to piece together what happened, but Cahokia keeps its secrets well. And it isn't just the mystery of its disappearance that haunts Monk's Mound still looms over the landscape, silently watching the horizon. Birds avoid its summit at dawn. Why would such an advanced city, at the height of its power, vanish without a trace? Could it be famine? As the wind rustles through the ancient grass, one can almost hear the echoes of footsteps, the heartbeat of a forgotten empire. This is only the beginning. Beneath the grassy hills of Cahokia lie secrets not meant for the light of day. When archaeologists began serious excavations in the 20th century, they expected to find the remnants of homes, tools, and pottery. And they did. But what they didn't expect were the graves. Hundreds of them, carefully arranged in patterns, but some far from peaceful. Inside were over 270 bodhisam buried with honor, others thrown in without care. Most disturbingly, dozens of young women, all around the same age, had been laid side by side in a mass grave. They showed signs of violent death, broken bones, signs of strangulation, and in some cases, no heads at all. One burial site in particular, known only as Mound 72, became These weren't accidents or natural deaths. These were rituals. The wooden circle known as Woodhinge, near the western edge of the city, acted as a solar calendar. As the sun rose or set on key date equinoxes, its rays would align perfectly with the posts, casting long shadows across the earth. Whoever he was, he had been someone of immense power, possibly a priest, king, or even a god in human form. Around him were offerings, weapons, tools, and the broken bodies of what appeared to be sacrificial victims. Close to this mass grave was a single male, laid on a bed of over 20,000 shell beads, arranged in the shape of a falcon. No known ritual explains this. No oral tradition survives. The Cahokians had no written language. All we have are the bones, the arrangements, and the shadows they left behind. Distant drumming when no one is there. One worker, alone at dusk, claimed she heard whispering in a language she couldn't understand, and, when she turned, no one was there. Streets, mounds, and plazas were placed to reflect celestial patterns, a place where gods walked and then vanished. Cahokia was more than a city, it was a living altar, a stage for divine drama, by memory, by ritual, by something ancient. The conclusion was unavoidable. Cahokia practiced human sacrifice, a quiet, steady hum, as if the city itself remembers what happened and is waiting. But why, and to whom? Clues point to the city's obsession with the sun and the stars. It's believed these alignments dictated when ceremonies were held, ceremonies that demanded blood. Was this the price of order? Did Cahokia's priests believe the universe itself would collapse without sacrifice? Other findings suggest that the city was designed as a cosmic map, aligning sacred geometry with the cardinal directions. The deeper the excavations went, the stranger things became. A series of child skeletons was found in another mound, their bones dyed red with ochre, eyes covered with shaped stones. Some local tribes say that their ancestors never lived in Cahokia. It was always a place of danger, that strange voices could be heard at night, that the air was wrong. Modern workers at the archaeological site have reported strange phenomena. Tools go missing, electronic devices malfunction near the mounds. People report seeing flickering lights in the tree line. The unease is real. Whether it's the weight of history or something deeper, Cahokia does not feel abandoned. It feels inhabited. As night falls on the mounds, shadows stretch long across the grass, and the ground seems to breathe. But for what? By the early 1300s, something had gone terribly wrong in the city that once thrived with grand ceremonies, bustling trade, and sacred order began to unravel. Its plazas emptied, the palisades rotted, the towering monk's mound stood alone under a sun that no longer seemed to bless the land. There was no great war, no conquering empire, no clear explanation. Cahokia simply ... disappeared. The intricate social order collapsed, and with it, the will to build, to worship, to stay. One by one, neighborhoods were abandoned. Farmers no longer returned to their fields. Markets fell silent. What happened? Archaeologists have offered several theories. One of the most accepted is environmental collapse. Cahokia had grown so quickly that it may have overtaxed its natural surroundings. The Mississippi River, just a mile from Cahokia, may have surged again and again, washing away homes, fields, and hope. Evidence of massive floods has been found in the sediment layers near the city. They offered not just animals, not just war captives, but their own. A mass of bodies laid at the summit, throats cut, eyes wide. Walls were reinforced, and new palisades built, as if the people feared someone was coming. The next morning, the sky did not lighten. A storm came and did not leave. Whole districts might have drowned, their people forced to flee, scattering into the forests and hills. After all, the land had been sacred long before Cahokia. Some tribal elders say the mounds were built on top of older spirits, that the Cahokians tried to bind what they didn't understand. Forests were stripped bare for wood use, for homes, temples, and endless fences. Soil became exhausted, rivers silted and shifted. Fish and game became scarce, but their faces were wrong, elongated, eyeless. Their mouths open in eternal screams. Weeks later, the storage facility reported unexplained power failures. Staff refused to enter the room alone. One researcher suffered night terrors so intense, she quit her position entirely. The figurines were quietly returned to Cahokia. Around them, dozens of charred bones, and what appeared to be claw marks not from any known tool. The land that once sustained thousands could no longer feed them. It was a withering, a vanishing, like a candle extinguished mid-prayer. The city didn't die. It was a rest as if something swept through, not just destroying, but wiping away its memory. But that alone doesn't explain the speed or the silence. Another possibility. Still, something darker lingers in the gaps. As the ceremonies failed to bring balance as sacrifices no longer pleased, the Skysim believed the spiritual core of Cahokia fractured. Factions formed, old gods were blamed. New leaders rose, promising salvation and blood. The rituals turned more extreme. Sacrifices became more frequent. Some theorized that the final years of Cahokia were marked by desperation and terror. One legend, passed down by neighboring tribes, speaks of the night of crimson earth, when the high priests gathered atop Monk's Mound under a blood-red moon. Was this just a myth, or a memory too awful to forget? Excavators at the site have uncovered signs of fire damage in some areas, alongside hastily buried bodies, but no enemy ever arrived. Unless the enemy was within, could the priests have summoned something they could not control? Could the rituals have awakened forces older than the mounds themselves? One chilling discovery. In a smaller mound, far from the main city center, archaeologists found a set of figuranzimal, humanoid shapes carved from stone. The objects were removed for study. Some places want to be forgotten. Whatever caused the fall of Cahokia, it was not a simple collapse. And yet, the mounds remain. Silent. Watching. As if waiting for someone to finish what was started. Today, Cahokia lies beneath a quiet stretch of earth in southern Illinois, near a highway tucked between farmlands and factories. To the casual passerby, it looks like little more than grassy hills scattered across a plain. But those who stop and listen know better. It watches the horizon like an ancient sentinel, holding its breath. Visitors climb it every day, but few linger after dusk. The sun sets fast here. The shadows come quicker than expected. Monk's Mound still towers over the land it steps, worn smooth by centuries of wind, rain, and unease. Locals say the ground changes after dark. Others speak of seeing shimmering lights drifting over the mounds, flickering like fireflies, but cold and unnatural. Wildlife avoids the area at night. Birds go silent. Even dogs refuse to cross certain paths. Of blood on stone, of hands reaching from dark water. Few describe seeing the city alive, teeming with thousands of people but no faces. Everyone moves in silence. Everyone stares at them. Others say it's the power of suggestion. But there are those who believe Cahokia never truly fell. Some report phantom drumming low, rhythmic thuds coming from deep beneath the soil. The geometry of the mounds, the solar alignments, the constant presence of blood rituals. It wasn't just culture, it was maintenance. A cycle, a prison. One claimed he saw a figure standing at the top of Monk's Mound, well past midnight tall, unmoving, wearing no distinguishable clothing. When he climbed to confront the trespasser, the summit was empty. The figure never came down. Security guards assigned to patrol the site have their own stories. One elder reportedly said, "There are stories older than us. Not all of them want to be told. Some places do not forget." Until he removed the battery and the voice kept speaking, like eyes shut in rest, but twitching beneath the lids. Another said he heard chanting in a language he couldn't place. He thought it was audio feedback from his radio. And then, there are the dreams. Tourists who visited the site sometimes write in forums and blogs about strange nightmares in the days that follow, visions of fire, of masked figures in feathered robes. The city below was not made of grass, and ruins it was restored, glowing, vibrant. But the crowd below began to scream in unison. She woke up gasping, with dirt under her fingernails. In one account, a woman dreamed she stood atop Monk's Mound, unable to move, while the sun rose, blood-red over the eastern woods. Some call it superstition. They believe it waits. A few fringe researchers and spiritualists suggest that Cahokia was not just a city, it was a mechanism, a sacred engine designed to control or contain something. And when the rituals stopped, something was left unbound. Modern-day native elders rarely speak of Cahokia. When asked, some simply shake their heads. So what does Cahokia remember? Does it remember the builders who sang to the stars? The children given to the earth? The final night of sacrifice, when no dawn came? Or does it remember the visitors, those who came from above, or beneath, or from beyond? Beings that required worship, and perhaps still do. Cahokia sleeps now, but in its silence, there's a tension. Like breath, drawn in and never released. Perhaps it will remain that way forever. But if one night the drums begin again, if the winds shift and the ground hums, if the dreams return to those who listen too closely, then maybe, just maybe, the city will rise again.